going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame. We are back for another FPL stream. The FPL fixtures and Premier League fixtures are out, and they are in full flow. They've been updated on the site. They actually did it quite quickly, which is new for a change. Usually it takes a couple of days, but it was only a couple hours. Maybe they had them prepared. Who knows? But yeah, we're going to be taking a look at those. We also have some new information to kind of check out as well. We have the Fantasy Football Scout members area active. I didn't have that last season. Found out about it, kind of looked into it, saw some bits and pieces, and we're going to be using that today to kind of look at a couple of things as well. I would make sure that you guys subscribe to that as well before the end of August. It's only $17.50 in British pounds, which works out to be around 23 or so US or Canadian or something like that. It's fairly cheap, and that costs for the entire year. It's a one-time payment. You get to look at XG, assist potential. You can make your own table, like the goals imminent table that they bring up on the Scoutcast. It's really good. I've been messing around with it, and also one of the things we're going to be using today is the season ticker, where it shows like form and potential matchups that everyone could have for their games. So in terms of like how good their matchups are going to be. And we're also going to take a look at some of the tinkering that I've done with my team as well. Kind of been messing around with a few things, so we'll kind of check that out and see how things go. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, I've also put the league code up in the very top corner, as you can see. John Wick, how's it going? I'm doing quite well. I've been tinkering around with my team. Also, for those that don't know, we do have the mini league this year. You can see the league code is way up at the top there on the top left. I'm not sure if you have to do capitals or not, but if you just copy that. The main thing is you have to be following us over on Twitter to enter, because that's going to be the reward, is that you'll have your Twitter handle shouted out at the end of the season, as well as it'll be in the description for the rest of the season. So make sure you have us followed over on Twitter. Would also appreciate the follow over here as well if you haven't done so already. And then you can join the league. We already have a lot of people in there, so glad to see the support as well. Also, I would like to give a shout out to True LKM, Wilbur Force Money, KDB 17 City, and Weebo 15. Thank you for the follows. Those were done while I was offline. But yeah, so we have a different team than what we had before, and we're going to be taking a look at that. I'm going to bring us over to the transfers page here, and I'm just going to bring up. I'm going to just swap out a few players for who we had from before. I believe we had the same back line from what I remember. We had Aubameyang, we had Salah. We did not have Greenwood. We didn't have St. Maximin. We didn't have Armstrong. We didn't have Davies. We didn't have Kane. We didn't have Antonio. And I believe we had Matt Ryan there. So I believe our team was looking something like this. So we had Timo, I believe it was Timo Werner up front. Who else do we have up front? I'm trying to remember. I think it was Bamford, I think it was last time. So we had Bamford. Did we have Antonio? I think we did have Antonio maybe as well. I remember being a cheaper forward. So we'll put him in there. Who else do we have in midfield? Trying to remember. I can't remember. But anyway, it was something along those lines, where we had whoever midfielders in there, and we've since changed it to this team here, which I'll just bring up back up on the screen here. So basically, we had one major striker, a couple of cheaper options, to kind of forced our money into midfield. I've since changed that since the fixtures have come out, and that is mainly due to the fact that there's the fixtures have changed a lot of things. So we're going to be taking a look quickly at those in just a second here. Just going to change something on there. Okay, fantastic. All right, so with the fixtures coming out, I'm going to bring those up here, and you should be able to see those. So this is what the members area looks like. This is the This is the season ticker. So this shows you all the different fixtures. You can do it based on attack, defense, or overall. In terms of fixtures, based on a rating that you'll see down here for home and away. It just kind of rates the teams by default as to what the Scoutcast thinks will be the difficulty rating when you play against a certain team home and away. So the red ones, the real dark ones here, like you see the Man United, that's a blank. So obviously they're not going to. It's not a very good fixture because they don't play. The ones like the Liverpool in lowercase, that's a Liverpool away fixture. In this case, it's for Arsenal, and that's a very bad fixture. Whereas a very good fixture would be something like, so this darker blue would be like for Fulham when they have Aston Villa at home. The capital letters being home and the lowercase letters being away. And you can see the bunch of different teams along the side here. So this is for the first 5 game weeks, and we've ranked it by attack. So this is what the season ticker thinks is the best possible setup for teams for their attack. So these are the teams that you should be looking at for attacking options, at least in the first 5 game weeks on paper. Whether it works out that way, we will have to see. However, we do have to talk about some of these things because some of these teams are going to be quite good for the first couple of game weeks, and then you maybe want to be thinking about bringing in some Man City and Man United players because of the way the schedule is kind of fixed itself out. So normally, Aston Villa was going to play Man City at City's ground on the opening day, and United was going to play Burnley away on the opening day, but because they made it a certain distance in Europe, they are going to be in a blank game week to start game week 1. Now, we don't know if that's going to be played midweek the following week, if it's going to be played sometime during the winter break. Who knows? We don't know that as of yet. We're just going off of what we know right now. So there's going to be Man United, Burnley, Man City, and Aston Villa. They do not play FPL game week 1 for what we know now. So getting back to the table here, I've sorted out by attack, and as you can see in the top 5 here, we have Tottenham Hotspur, Sheffield United, Leicester City, Chelsea, and West Brom, with Spurs having a very good run overall. The only real toughish fixture on paper for them is United away, but West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Everton at home, all games where they can do quite well. Southampton away. Southampton don't have a perfect defense by any means, but definitely a very gettable one. Sheffield United, not necessarily an attacking threat, but they are definitely up there. They have Wolves at home, Aston Villa away, the newly promoted Leeds, and Fulham at home with a away trip to the Emirates in game week 4. Leicester also up there as well. They have a Man City away game sandwiched in between a relegation fodder or potential relegation fodder in West Ham and Aston Villa from last season, as well as Burnley at home, who, they can concede goals, but they are very good at clean sheets too. And then the newly promoted West Brom away on the first weeks of fixtures. Chelsea also have Brighton away from home to start, but they do have to play Liverpool at home in the second game, and then they have a really good run of West Brom away, Crystal Palace at home, Southampton at home, back-to-back home games in 4 and 5. So Chelsea looking quite good here as well. If we move down, you can see there's Wolves is in here. Liverpool host Leeds on the first game of the season. That is something that we have to take a look at. They do have Chelsea away and Arsenal at home. However, both of those teams are susceptible to conceding goals. Arsenal probably less so than Chelsea, I would think. But then they have Aston Villa and Everton, who should be quite simple enough for them as well. And then if we actually go right down to the bottom, you see that Man United, basically all the teams with blanks don't have a good time, as well as Leeds. Leeds does not have a very good, offensive, start here in terms of just fixtures. They have Liverpool away to start. Fulham at home is probably pretty good for them. Sheffield United away, probably not great if you think that Ramsdale is going to be the same as Dean Henderson, moving into next season, as Dean Henderson looks to be back at United and will be either the number 1 or number 2. Man City at home, not great. Wolves at home, not great either. Both teams are very formidable on their day as well. Man City themselves, they have a blank to start. Wolves away. Traore scoring 2 goals against them. Always been a tough fixture for them. Leicester at home could be quite tough. Leeds away. It is Leeds, but it is an away fixture nonetheless. So it's not going to be as easy as if it was at home. And then Arsenal at home should be fairly straightforward for City, although last game they played, they lost in the FA Cup. So City not with a great start at all. However, we have devised a plan, so we'll get to that and kind of check things out moving forward there. In terms of defense, Fulham, Sheffield United, Leicester, Spurs, Everton, Southampton, Liverpool, all at the top. And again, we find Man United, City towards the bottom half. United's, after their blank, is pretty good. They have Crystal Palace at home, Brighton away, Spurs at home, Newcastle away. But then they have Chelsea and Arsenal immediately after that. So their immediate 6 is... United's fixtures are quite hit or miss, basically. You're going to want to bring them in for a few games at a time and then potentially get rid of them depending on how you want to play it. But that's how we knew we were going to play this season. A lot of big hitters, and we're going to have to be looking at them and moving them in and out. And that's kind of what we've devised our plan around. So people looking at Mitrovic. Mitrovic does have a good start. He has Leeds away, Aston Villa at home. Could be very good. Even Arsenal could be a good fixture there as well. And also they have Wolves and Sheffield United away, which isn't great, but could be quite straightforward there. The teams mainly that we're looking at though is kind of Wolves is kind of up in the upper half as well. It's in the top 5 or 6 here for attack. Wolves could potentially be a good team. Leicester potentially a good team. Chelsea is a good team. Spurs even and in replacement as your placeholders for City and United who have a blank to start the season. All those people that were going to start with Nick Pope in game week 1, well, unfortunately he can't because he has a blank, so not great to start. What we're going to do, however, here though is we're going to take the first game of the season out of it. So we're going to remove the blank, and then we're going to see how the fixtures line up going into game weeks 2 onwards. And if we take a look here, I'm just going to move these around, sort again. If we look at it, Man United shoots straight to the top. So basically, after the blank, Man United has the second best fixtures on paper, according to the season ticker, for attacking return. So you got, like I said, Crystal Palace at home, Brighton away, Spurs at home, Newcastle away, Chelsea at home. All teams that they could definitely score a lot of goals against. Spurs kind of moves down just a little bit because they have Burnley away in game week 6, so that kind of depreciates it just a little bit. Man City doesn't really come up that much higher. They do have West Ham after the Arsenal at home game, and then you can see Wolves is shot straight to the top. So they can do well versus City, very likely they can. And then they have West Ham away, very good fixture. Fulham at home, very good fixture. Leeds away, could be a good fixture. Newcastle at home. So Wolves is looking fantastic. So even though they have Sheffield United away from home and the Man City at home in the first 2 game weeks, you might want to keep them in and just stick with them for the opening several weeks of the season because they have good fixtures after that. And you're going to want to be looking at bringing in United players, bringing in City players right off the start because of how the fact that they have blanks in the beginning. I've kind of devised a plan that kind of circumvents that just a little bit, so we'll be helping you out with that as well. Moving into the defense after game week 2, if you look, Brighton shoots way up to the top as well. Wolves is in the top 4. United in the top 5 there as well. And then West Ham and Arsenal go right down to the bottom. Chelsea is down to the bottom because of defensively they're just not great. Crystal Palace and Burnley are down there as well. So if we look at Brighton has Newcastle away, Man United at home, Everton away, Crystal Palace away, West Brom at home. All very good fixtures where they could potentially keep clean sheets. And with Lewis Dunk, who just recently, I think it was today, signed a new 5-year deal for the club. He's not going anywhere. They're hanging on to him, and he's their captain, so he's going to be hopefully doing well for them. And unlike a certain Man United captain, he's been keeping himself out of trouble. But yeah, so that could be another issue, is that if Maguire's out due to the nonsense that he's been doing over in Greece, getting involved in a fight and whatever, whether he is innocent or guilty, that is yet to be determined. But that could be major issues for United defensively if he has to serve some time in Greece or something, or a court case, or who knows what could go on there. But we won't worry about that. We'll go on what we think fixture-wise here. And then I'm also gonna remove. So if we look at the attack, I'm just gonna move this back over to game week 1. We see that Arsenal's first 2 fixtures: Fulham away, West Ham at home, 2 very good fixtures for Aubameyang. But if we move it to game week 3 onwards for the next 5 game weeks, we look at Arsenal right down the bottom, second last. So they have Liverpool away, Sheffield United at home isn't great, Man City away never good, Leicester at home's bad, Man United away very, 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 very tough start offensively and defensively for Arsenal. So we have devised a plan to whereas we can have Aubameyang for the first 2 game weeks. We could potentially captain him in game week 2, and then we can go from there. So yeah, that's the season ticker there. There's a bunch of different tables that you can have here. So I've created a stats table. Hopefully it's still saved here, if it will load. It's just connecting here. Yeah, we'll come back to that later. But basically I created a stats table, and yeah, I created one for, I think it was like basically just cheaper midfielders to see how they've done with like touches in the box and like shots in the box and that sort of stuff. So, and I was comparing Armstrong and St. Maximin because they'll be in our team, and we could be getting rid of one potentially after 3 or 4 game weeks. So I kind of wanted to look at that and see how that goes. But we'll come back to that a bit later. So what we did with our team was the following. If we look at the amount of money that we have left, so we have 2.5 million in the bank with this team. So probably thinking, why are you saving all that money? What are you potentially going to be doing with that money? Well, the reason I've put that money in, kept it in the bank, is you can use it. You still can use it. And the reason being is because with this team here, you could still use that 2.5 million on the forward slot. Because what we're going to do is the first 2 game weeks of the season, I'm just going to bring them up here. So we want Aubameyang in against Fulham. Of course we do. Liverpool assets looking good for game week 1 here versus Leeds at home. Looking good. Spurs, we know, have very good fixtures. Chelsea have Brighton away. Could prove tricky. Wolves, we potentially are looking at, although they're not in our team completely. Southampton look to have a decent fixture as well. So what we could potentially do is we can weigh up the options in the front line with either Antonio, Danny Ings, or Raul Jimenez, and then potentially move them on after those first 2 fixtures. But in my eyes, I think Antonio has the best first 2 fixtures. Newcastle at home, very easy to score against. Arsenal away, can definitely score against them too. And then his fixtures get a lot worse after that, which is why we'll be moving him on. So we'll be showing kind of how we play it out. So we have Greenwood in our team to start. So basically in the opening day, we can, if Ferguson is going to be a starter, that's perfect. He has Southampton at home. If the likes of Armstrong score versus Crystal Palace, then it's kind of whatever. But if it's double clean sheet, it's happy days because we have Walker Peters as well. We can also change out Eiling here, I think that's how you pronounce his name, for a different 4.5 defender. Whether that be someone from Brighton or somebody like that, we can kind of figure that out. But basically, we've gone with a non-playing 4 million goalkeeper because I don't think Nyland's going to be in goal for them to start. We have McCarthy, who has really good fixtures. And it only makes sense to keep McCarthy, really, because even though he does play Spurs in Game Week 2, he has really good fixtures pretty much all the way except for Chelsea away. He plays Man United, Arsenal and City, and then after that we can get rid of him on our wild card because we're probably going to be wild carding going into game week 16. Because after game week 16, you definitely lose it. Ziyech is an option, but the reason I've kept Greenwood, and I'll show you in a second. It's all part of a master plan. All part of a master plan. So the master plan unfolds when it comes to game week 3. So game week 1, Southampton have a great fixture, which is why we have Armstrong. Same with Newcastle. So we move to game week 2. Game week 2, Newcastle play Brighton at home. Fantastic for St. Maximin. We also have Southampton, who they play Spurs. They can still get attacking returns, which is fine for us because we only have Harry Kane, as long as Kane scores potentially the other way. And we won't be playing Walker Peters in this game. We'll be playing Trent Alexander-Arnold. We might play Walker Peters over Vinagre potentially, but we'll definitely be playing Eiling because he has Fulham at home, which is a very good fixture for Leeds. We also have, remember, this is where City and United come in. City have Wolves away, which isn't great for them. But United have Crystal Palace at home, which is a very good fixture to start off in. And we can get away with benching Greenwood, and he'll be in our team for next week. So, if we wanted to, we play 5 across midfield, 2 up front. And then we have Trent Alexander-Arnold, Eiling. And then if Ferguson is... he plays United, so we have to pick from between him playing United, Walker Peters playing Spurs, or Vinagre playing City. It all depends. It all depends. That's a bit of a tougher one. Obviously, McCarthy going up against Kane, not great either, but it is what it is. And then we'll have 2 free transfers going into game week 3 because we'll have 1 free transfer at the end of game week 1, 2 free transfers at the end of game week 2 going into game week 3. Then what we can do, bang, take out Antonio. Bang, take out Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We can bring in Timo Werner, who's going to have in game week 3 after Chelsea. So Chelsea plays Brighton away, which they might score in. Game week 2, they have Liverpool at home. Obviously not great. Liverpool are quite good. And we don't want them scoring against Trent Alexander-Arnold. And then in game week 3, they have West Brom away, so we could bring in Timo Werner against the newly promoted team. Fantastic. And then look, we have a perfect 11.5 million where we can bring in a City player if we want. We can bring in Bruno Fernandes, who's also going to have Brighton away, which United did quite well against them towards the latter half of the season. And we can have something that looks somewhat like this. And then we still have 1 million to potentially change some things up later on. And then the team's looking quite good from here, going forward. We can do a bunch of different things. Game week 4, after that, when... also Liverpool, we'll only have Liverpool, we'll have Liverpool through Chelsea and Arsenal. But Chelsea and Arsenal, very good to score against. For Liverpool. And we can also rotate our defenders the following week. Southampton have West Brom, so we can put in our defender there. Vinagre will be playing Fulham at home. We also will have Liverpool versus Villa. And we have a bunch of things going for us. Well, if Werner increases in the first 2 weeks, bam. We still have our 1 million there. We can always still go for Fernandes, no problem. Because I would be more inclined to potentially bring in Fernandes as well. We can also change things up. Maybe Werner's could be injured in the first couple of weeks. Then we can go for Ziyech. It's just a kind of a rough plan, as it were. So the City assets are definitely there to get. If we can't get Timo Werner. But we still want a City player, potential, or maybe we still want a Chelsea player, and we want to go for a United player. We can go for Martial up front, gives us another 500,000 in the bank. We can upgrade to a City player completely at 11.5. Yes, we won't have a Chelsea player, but the following week, if we want to do a free transfer We just have to wait for them to play West Brom, which is kind of unfortunate. We can then bring in Ziyech in after that. It does kind of suck because we have Davis, who's kind of a bench player. If there was a forward that we can look to for that's $4.5 million and potentially playing. So one person suggested this guy here was Ryan Brewster, plays for Liverpool currently. If he gets loaned out to a team like, I don't know, where he's Fulham or one of those teams, and he's going to be starting and he's $4.5 million, we could be looking at something quite good for our team. So could be quite good. But again, that's what we're going to kind of have to wait and see on. That's kind of the rough plan of what we're going for. And yeah, that's kind of what we're looking for. I believe this is probably going to end up being Dallas instead of Eiling, because Dallas can play in a multitude of positions, and if some of those are out of position in terms of him playing like left wing and stuff like that, or central midfield, which he has been deployed in, then we'll definitely have him in there, because that means he could get attacking returns, which is very good for us, whereas Eiling has just been more of a defender for most of the season. So the only thing that I am kind of trying to maybe see if there's potentially something else is if there's another 4 million defender that's going to start. If we can find a 4 million defender that's going to start that has somewhat decent fixtures, we can get rid of Walker Peters. We can bring in Danny Ings over Antonio, because we think Ings can score versus Crystal Palace. Yes. It's just as good of a fixture as Newcastle at home, in my opinion. And then also he has Spurs at home the following game week, and we would rather only have one clean sheet lost if we're going to have that against us. So, and we could potentially get the Armstrong to Ings link up there. Mitchell for Palace since PVA's injured. Yeah, I'm not sure how long he's supposed to be out for. If he is out for a significant period of time, where it's like several months or something like that, then we can look to have him in there. That's definitely an option. But it's just a matter of if he's going to be out for a long period of time. I believe it was just like a dislocated shoulder that he suffered. I don't know how long that takes to heal, but we'll have to kind of monitor that, going forward. Which is why I also recommend Fantasy Football Scout. They have a page for all of their preseason stuff, so they're going to be monitoring minutes played for players and stuff like that too. Very good resource. I'm going to be checking it out as well. Speaking of Fantasy Football Scout, let's see if our members thing is working. Nope, it seems to be broken, so we shall worry about that later. But yeah, when it is working, maybe there's so many people using it that it's just breaking. But yeah, there's a bunch of different resources that we're going to keep looking at, and hopefully it's just a matter of the site just being down, or maybe my internet's been acting up. It's been a bit weird the last couple of days. Like Twitch has been very slow to load. The wireless has been bad, but the stream seems perfectly fine. So we shall see how it goes. But yeah, that's kind of how the team's kind of looking. Unfortunately, I don't like the two cheaper midfielders. I will admit that. I don't like the fact that I have a forward that's 4.5. But the team, nonetheless, to me, with the players that we have available, look quite good. Like I said, we want to take advantage of Aubameyang's first 2 games. He is captainable in potentially both of them. And we'll also get a kind of look at what type of system Arteta is going to be playing versus Liverpool in the Community Shield or Charity Shield or whatever it's called. That is going to be a week tomorrow, I believe. It's on the 29th. And we'll get to see a first look at both of those teams, and we'll have to pay attention to some teams that are playing their preseason games. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. There are some other things that I kind of tinkered around with. as kind of the at the start. So I'm just going to show you what that kind of looked like. So with not saving money, normal case, you would either go McCarthy or Ryan, or you could potentially go both and rotate them. Don't need Leeds defender, don't need Walker Peters. We would go for Doherty. We could go for Mitchell, like you said, because he could potentially play and get some points off our bench. We would keep Salah. We would get rid of Fernandez. We would get rid of Greenwood. We would keep St. Maximin. Get rid of Armstrong. Get rid of Davies. And we would have like Vardy up front because he's very good for the first couple of fixtures. West Brom away, Burnley at home could be very good. Mind you, they are losing Ben Chilwell, so that could be a bit of a problem for them. We definitely want Aubameyang in for the first two, but then we run into a bit of a money problem in terms of just amount of money being thrown around. We could potentially put in like Son and Ziyech in, which let's see what that looks like. We'll put in Ziyech or Ziyech, however you pronounce it. We'll put in Son. We can get Antonio in because he could potentially be good, and then lastly we could put in Mitrovic. So we're 4 million short, which is never good. So we'll have to downgrade somewhere. So we could do Son to a 4 million if we wanted to keep in Vardy. We can also do we can just do this here as well if we think that Kane, because Kane and Vardy basically represent price points for Aguero as well, because we don't know what he's going to be like. In terms of playing 4.5 midfielders that we could bring in, we're not looking at much, to be honest. Smallbone could potentially be somebody that gets points off the bench, but in an ideal scenario you wouldn't play him, so he's just going to be bench fodder. He'd probably get minutes off the bench in most games, as he has done. But you just play Doherty, Trent, and then Vinagre with one of your goalkeepers, 4 across midfield, and then your 3 forwards. That's another potential team that looks quite balanced off the start. The only thing is that in order to make way for United and City assets, you're looking at getting rid of Aubameyang, you're looking at getting rid of Salah, you're looking at rid of Ziyech, these sorts of players. Justin's a decent option. The only problem is that you have to book in a transfer to get rid of him, potentially. Actually, well, with Chilwell leaving, I'm not sure if he can play left side at fullback as well, but that is a possibility. Mind you, they might just put Christian Fuchs there. But yeah, he could potentially be someone there. Salah, Aubameyang, Ziyech, Armstrong. Yeah, those are good picks. Werner, Ings, Mitrovic, 0.5 in the bank. Yeah, that's looking pretty solid overall. It's just a matter of, can you transform that team to potentially bring in United and City assets? Now, if you look at United, United's fixtures, I mean, they're fantastic. You want them in from game week 2 onwards, all the way up until basically game week 11, probably. United can definitely score in home fixtures versus Arsenal and Chelsea. Ings to Martial game week 2. Yeah, that's perfectly viable as well. The only problem is that if you're getting rid of a transfer immediately like that, then your next transfer, Ziyech downgraded to Greenwood. That's another option too. Yeah. The only other thing is that means you have to your game week transfer after that in game week 3 is going to be getting rid of Aubameyang to whoever, whether that be Mane or someone at that price point, maybe you downgrade them significantly. That's also a possibility as well. Aubameyang to City, yeah, that makes sense. The only reason I was saying that maybe City might be kind of wait and see is if we look at their let's go to their where is Jesus? There he is. So if you look at their fixtures, so they have blank game week 1. You don't want them in there unless you have Foden and you're hanging on to him on your bench, right? Because he's cheap enough to do so at 6.5. Wolves away, probably don't want City for that, most likely. Leicester at home, maybe. Leeds away, probably pretty good. Arsenal at home, yeah, that looks good. West Ham away, yeah, that looks pretty good too. Sheffield United away, maybe. Liverpool at home, could be something in that. Spurs away, probably a bit trickier. And then they have obviously a really good fixture. This is kind of the space that you want to see them in. You want them up against Everton, who are very, not great. Newcastle, not great. Southampton, they could, they're going to want to get one back over them. West Brom at home. United at Old Trafford, they've done better at Old Trafford than they have at their own home. Fulham at home could be good. They put 5 past Burnley the last time they played them. These fixtures are pretty good. And again, it all comes down to how Pep starts out his team. If we start seeing like Foden playing game in, game out, game in, game out, then that just brings up another kettle of fish as well. KDB or Sterling from game week 3. Yep, that is a tough one because you would think that KDB is still on penalties, right? KDB is probably still on penalties. He's going to be on set pieces, corners, free kicks, that sort of stuff. He's going to get you the odd goal or two. And he's going to get a ridiculous amount of assists. And if Sterling stops missing from 4 yards, then he'll get more assists. So I think probably KDB to start. Depending on how we can... Well, the thing is, you can use Wolves as like kind of the measuring stick of City. And kind of see how they play. If Pep comes out and against Wolves starts doing some wonky formation or something like that, then you can start to ask questions. Because if he starts doing a back 3 and then he starts he's benching Mahrez and all these like crazy things, then who knows what'll happen. But yeah, could be quite interesting. Overall. But yeah, I do like that team. Again, if Vinagre could be one that if they sign a left back, maybe he swapped out. Justin, again, not sure if he can replace Chilwell. Don't know yet. If I had to pick a midfielder, St. Maximin or Armstrong, I'd probably lean towards St. Maximin in that price point. And that's mainly because St. Maximin has better fixtures up until basically, like, Newcastle can potentially score against any of these teams. Like, even City they've shown to be quite good against. And then you'll want to get rid of him in game week 16 if you have your wild card all the way up until then. The only real tough fixtures, Spurs away could be bad. Burnley at home, potentially. Man United at home could be bad. Wolves away could be bad. And then the only other one's probably like City. But City, like they said, they've shown, quite good. Whereas Armstrong, Chelsea away from home. United could be bad. Arsenal could be bad. City could be bad. Sheffield could be bad. Wolves could be bad. There's a bunch of, worse fixtures. And plus, the table that I did with, I was comparing Armstrong and St. Maximin specifically. And they had the same, I think it was the same amount of, like, big chances and stuff. The only issue with with Armstrong was he had way less touches in the box, which can lead to less chances created, which St. Maximin was a lot better at. He was better at creating chances, but they were like equal in terms of like goal scoring. But St. Maximin was more involved in the box with touches, so could be something to kind of look at there at the 5.5. Since West Ham fixtures are so bad, Souček is probably not great. Callum Wilson to that's another thing as well. To Newcastle. I know he's been kind of rumored to go to a couple of teams, but I think St. Maximin is very good at just creating on his own as well. Whereas Armstrong tends to kind of be the assist to the assister. Usually he's like, he may play the ball across to Redmond, and then Redmond's the one that feeds it into the likes of like Che Adams or Ings. So we'll have to see though. Yeah, I definitely think that it's a interesting start to the season with some of the fixtures. It's going to be a bit hard for me being a United fan, where the first week of the season your team doesn't play. It's going to be a bit weird. Yeah, I think the mainstays in the team are, well, McCarthy's definitely going to be in there. This is going to be some non-playing goalkeeper. Trent's in there, Ferguson's in there, Vinagre's definitely in there. These two defender spots are up for grabs potentially, even though I think you could just bench the Leeds one if Ferguson is starting, because he could be good versus potentially versus Southampton. Like in the grand scheme of things, if Crystal Palace playing Southampton on the opening day, if I have Armstrong in there, I wouldn't mind a 0-0 between those two teams. I'd be perfectly happy because Armstrong still gets 3 points. McCarthy gets clean sheet. Ferguson gets clean sheet. Walker Peters, who we could have in our team, gets clean sheet. Fantastic days. That's kind of what we're looking for there. Greenwood is potentially out. Armstrong is potentially out, and even St. Maximin's potentially out. And then out of the forwards, I think Kane is the only one that I've kind of got my mind set on. I just think that Kane with his drought in August, well, season doesn't start in August, so he's going to be probably in there. Everton at home, Southampton away, Newcastle at home, even United away he could score against. And just this big run of fixtures is just extremely good. Extremely good. And then if we look at the run of games from the 9th game week 9 onwards to game week 16, if we look at Aguero's fixtures, you can see that Aguero's fixtures from the Spurs game onwards, his start to heat up quite nicely. So it's literally just an Aguero-sized hole waiting to happen. It's like, would I rather Aguero away to Spurs or Kane at home to Man City? I think I would take City every day of the week, and you can make that transfer nice and easily. Then Aguero's a nice home fixture, home fixtures against Burnley and Fulham, and the only real tough fixture being Man United away for the entire rest of them. The rest of them that he can definitely score against. Whereas Kane, if you look at those fixtures there, after he plays Man City, Chelsea away. Yes, he could score against them, but they're probably going to be a bit more pragmatic. It's against Jose Mourinho's old club. Might not be great there. Arsenal at home, definitely could score there. Crystal Palace away, should be fine. Liverpool away, not great. Leicester at home, could be tricky. Wolves away, in quick succession. These 3 games right here, all in quick succession, very, very draining for them. Could Aguero see rotation in these games here? Very possible, but you can definitely see him. Look, he'll play he'll play 60 minutes in one of these games and 30 minutes in the other one of these 2 games. I'm perfectly fine with that, and same with these 2, and that's probably better than what Kane's gonna have, in terms of potential output. Liverpool away, Leicester at home, Wolves away, Crystal Palace away. Not great. But we'll definitely know more. I just think Kane for the first 3 is definitely worth keeping. And then we can even move to Aguero right then and there if we think that that's fine. Or if Jesus is the one in favor, then we can move to him. If either Jesus or Aguero get injured right off the bat, bang, the other one is straight into my team when City's fixtures are good. So come game week 4, if Aguero or Jesus is injured before that and they're going to be out for a decent period of time, we got to find a way to put them in. Whether it be get rid of Kane or what, maybe Kane's underperforming. If Kane's definitely underperforming, then right out the team they go. Or like I said, we can move to make a move to Sterling or somebody like that and work things out there. Liverpool's fixtures are a bit interesting as well. They're a bit interesting. Some of them look a bit tougher on paper. But it depends on how Liverpool play, because I think that they might be on a downturn. Speaking of which, another formation that I also played around with was having both Trent and Robertson in the same team as well. Second draft 4-4-2, McCarthy, TAA, Vinagre, Justin Taylor. Salah, Son, Aubameyang, Souček, Werner, Ings. The only problem is that Taylor has a blank, so you would need to find somebody else in that group of players, unless you just plan on having whoever one of your bench players come in for him instead for that time being, which is perfectly fine. If that's the same Taylor from Burnley that I'm thinking of. But yeah, let me see if I can bring up the members area again. Okay, so the website loads, members area homepage. Is it broken? I think it might be broken. If it is, it is. If it ain't, it ain't. But, yeah. Oh, no, it seems to be working. Let's see. My stat tables, which is slow to load. Okay. Son can be Rashford, Ings to Martial. Yeah, you can do that. Yep, that definitely works. So let me see if I can maneuver this across here. So let me just make sure you can see that. So this is the thing that I was talking about. I created a stats table here. Hopefully it works. It has. Okay, so basically what I did was I put in a table where it was big chances and shots, and big chances created and shots inside the box. So you should be able to see that. I'm just going to move it over just slightly so that we can see the whole table there. So what I did was just comparing a bunch of the cheaper mids. So I did St. Maximin, and then I did Armstrong. That's who it was. And then what I did was show only selected players, and then it gave me this nice little table that we got going here that you can see. So when I was comparing them, I was like, okay, which one could I potentially get rid of? So basically what we were looking at was St. Maximin created 6 more big chances, and had 2 more big chances himself, and they had the same amount of shots and shots inside the box. So both in terms of scoring their own chances, has the same amount of attempts, just overall, except St. Maximin creates way more big chances and has bigger chances to score, which is why he has scored more points. The only problem is that St. Maximin is very foulable, in that he's like kind of the one guy that you foul when he's on the run, and then you make and then he's because he's the one who creates all the big chances. So if you stop him, it's not like Joe Linton or Almiron are going to do anything. But yeah, that's kind of the table there. Some other, trying to think, there's not really any other 5.5 million players. Podence would be interesting for Wolves if he does start every game, but he could see reduced minutes at 5.5. Naby Keita could be very interesting for Liverpool. He does take up a Liverpool slot, but could be very interesting if he stays fit. And we'll be able to see that in the Charity Shield or Cup, the Community Shield or whatever it's called again, a week tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, this is super cool. And then there's all different other tables here as well. You have the public stats table. So you have non-penalty XG, goal threat, goal scoring potential, attacking potential mids, attacking potential forwards. So let's check this one out here. This guy's created an attacking potential mids table. So let's see what this one's all about. And it broke again. Oh no, it's back. Okay, so the site must be going under a bunch of different bunch of stress because a lot of people are probably using it. But yeah, so we can see, like, if we were to compare Mane versus Salah, show only selected players. So if we look in terms of big chances created, I believe this is across if we do, let's do last 4 game weeks. Hopefully it works and hopefully it doesn't break, because a lot of people are using the site right now. But yeah, you could basically filter it by that. We'll do Salah and we'll do Mane and we'll do compare selected players. And there's even heat maps as well that you can see here. Stat summaries, XG, all kinds of stuff. It's super, super cool. And then we're going to put show only selected players. So if we look, last 4 game weeks of the season between Salah and Mane created 2 big chances. Salah created none. Salah had 4 big chances. Mane created 2. Salah created 5 chances. Mane created 9. Salah made 4 through balls passes. Mane made 0. Salah had 16 shots, 14 which were inside the penalty box. Mane only had 11 and 8 respectively. Salah had 9 more penalty touches, penalty area touches, and the XGI, which is the expected goal involvement for both players. Salah was expected to get either a combination of 3.24 goals and assists over the last 4 game weeks. So he should have been expected to either get a goal or an assist in 3 out of the 4 games, whereas Mane would have only got 1.63 goals / assists in those 4 game weeks. So a really cool table here, which is quite interesting. And there's a bunch of different things going on in the members area. But yeah, really cool stuff there. Yeah, quite interesting. We'll definitely be utilizing that for our videos as well, to kind of get us a metric once we have at least 4 game weeks of data, and then we can use that to better inform our viewers overall. So which is gonna be quite useful. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today's stream. It was always gonna be a shorter one. Even though I think we went close to the hour mark. But yeah, that's kind of how my team is. A bit of tinkering. I'm trying to basically, the whole goal with this team was to basically keep either United or City asset in the team without spending too much money. This could all get thrown out the window if, like, let's say Wolves bring in a left back. If Sancho does end up signing for United, or they bring in a right winger, which basically, contest Greenwood's spot. If Foden's not playing, if we see that, maybe Armstrong's not starting, and we have to go for somebody else, potentially. It's a whole bunch of different things that we kind of have to look at. Preseason training, injuries, quarantines, all that sort of stuff could play into that. So yeah, could be very interesting stuff. So So yeah, that's gonna do it for today's stream. Make sure to give us a follow over on all the platforms. It's PilotFlame226, as you can see down below here. Links are also in the description. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And yeah, go subscribe over to the Fantasy Football Scout members area. The site seems to be under tax right now, but it is a very good resource for that sort of data, which I'm going to be using in my videos to better inform you guys as well as myself, so that we can get a better than a 33K rank this season. As I mentioned in comments in past videos, last season was the season that I kind of took the most serious, got the highest rank in it. The 2 or 3 seasons before that, one of them or 2 of them were incomplete, and one of them I basically didn't look at my team for several months on hand. So yeah, this season's going to be even more stats driven, even more attention to detail, and even more strategizing around how fixtures play out, and how we want certain players in for those fixtures, and get them in and swap them out at the right time. That's what we're looking about maximizing points. But yeah, thank you for watching, and until the next one, take care.